Give you a video on the perfect wrist hinge, on the ideal wrist hinge. We get a lot of questions about the direction of the hinge, what is exact, what do people have to feel in order to create what they need to get their club and their wrist set in the proper position halfway back here. So what I've done, and this is an old school drill that I've created years back, if you followed us for a while, you may have seen this. It's this little 90-degree angle that I have with the white alignment rods here. One rod defines the line of my feet. The other one defines my ball position that's perpendicular to my stance. And then I have this yellow rod splitting the two right at a 45-degree angle. Now, what I love about this is this yellow rod is actually the direction that the hinge should be taking place. So guys, if the end goal was to have the hands and club down the line of the feet right here when the golf club is parallel to the ground. That's checkpoint 1 right there in the golf swing. Why? Well, if I just rotate right back around, that hits the ball right down the line on the perfect path, right? We can understand that if I'm outside that, it's going this way. If I'm inside that, it's going that way without any manipulation. We're always trying to build a golf swing requiring the least amount of manipulation on the way down. A huge part of that is how you set the club. So here's the thing. With the goal of the swing being to set the golf club in a position that I can then just turn that set position at the top and drive that set position right back down to the slot in a position where I can rotate and release the club down the line, this chart right here is perfect for us. Okay, so we're going to do two things for you today. I'm going to show you from this angle, and Kev's going to try something different. We've had a lot of people ask us, can they see it from my angle? So I've been doing a lot of FaceTimes lately where I'll hold the camera right at my eyes and show people the direction of this hinge, okay? So, here we go. 50% of this is turn, 50% of this is hinge. It's not happening hinge then turn, it's not happening turn then hinge. It's a blending of the two, but why I like this, I like having this visual of if I wasn't turning at all, how much hinge is happening and in what direction is it happening? And that's answered right here. If I set up, and I didn't move my hands at all, I just hinged the golf club, I'm hinging at that 45-degree angle. Now, if I combine that with a turn, that goes right down the line of my feet when it's parallel to the ground. If I blend that together, there it is. If I keep going, look at that. That reaches that set position about belt high there, where the butt of the club is pointed down at the inside of the golf ball, maybe just inside that, and riding up my right forearm. But that happens to be the position to where the golf club is in front of me, okay? In front of my hands, and my hands are in front of my body. I love the white line for a reason here as well. That's the line that my hands are hanging, and the hand path in the beginning of the swing should be right down that line. Okay, so my hands go down that line right to where I get the club in the set position, and then they turn up that imaginary escalator from here to here that is just simply in the direction of my body's turn. Okay, so you have hand path, you have ball position, you have the direction of your hinge, you have 50% hinge, you have 50% turn, you blend those together to get to that checkpoint 1 position, and you're halfway home in the golf swing. Now, Kev, let's see if we can give the viewer an angle right from my perspective here. Okay, so here we go. So I'm feeling my hinge happening in this direction right here. So when I do this and then turn, there's the position I want to be in. Now, if I brought my hands up to make it even easier to see, guys, it's in a 45-degree angle here. Now, that's right there. Now, when I do that and then turn, that gets my club in the perfect set position. So there's the hinge that should be happening right there. Mixed with the turn, there it is right to checkpoint 1. Now, here's the thing. For the player who rolls it inside, they might need to feel more up in front of them on this white line. I have a player I work with this morning who actually gets way outside like this. So they need to feel like the hinge is happening more down the white line. Well, what are you doing? Are you somebody who gets the club like this? Are you somebody who gets the club like this? Well, if you're somebody who gets the golf club like this, yeah, you're going to need to feel more up to the nose. If you're somebody who keeps the club out there too long, yeah, you're going to need to feel it break more towards the white line initially. But here's the thing. There's two things I think are really important about this. Forget the feeling of what you need to exaggerate to get to the actual. what is the actual? Poor Zach Golf, we always teach, Mike, myself, we teach an actuality. Yes, of course, the person in front of us will give you more of what you need to feel to create that, but we don't like to over teach, and we don't like to teach with exaggeration, because typically if you teach with exaggeration, that person goes back and forth, back and forth. We like to teach literal, okay? The literal is the club hinges at a 45-degree angle. If I go up like this, it cups my wrist. If I go back like this, it bows my wrist. If I go at the 45, it really keeps my wrist nice and flat throughout my swing, okay, that left wrist. Here's the other part of that. Besides just the 45 degrees here, the butt of the club should really work towards the golf ball. You know, that's the swing plane that we're creating. That's the hinge on a door. You know, you put the hinge on the door, it's going to close the right way every time. You take that hinge and move it, well, now it's closing a different way every time, and you now need to manipulate something to get it to close the right way. And that's tough to do. That's why it's important to understand, hey, 45 degrees, that ends up being the club right down the line of the feet when it's parallel to the ground. That ends up relaying into butt of the club towards the golf ball with the club up that trail forearm. And that right there is how you set the club properly. All right, so here's the thing. You can leave this up there, and now we take this guy out of here. Okay, now we can hit balls like this and actually, you know, be able to work on the direction of that hinge. You can work it down the line. You can do what I call the set go, where you set it and rotate through. And, you know, after practicing that as many times as I did showing you guys, I set that one perfectly, and that ball went right down the line. And what's great about that, you know, my trail hand gets that proper crease right there that I can feel like I maintain throughout my swing. And when I let it go at the bottom as I release, it puts that golf club in a square position to where I have that forward shaft lean. I trap the golf ball just like this. It's a great feeling. You know, if I were to have that set any other way, I would have had to feel manipulation through impact when doing that drill. So it's a great drill to set. Make sure you're in the right spot and then go. All right, so if you're having any questions with how to set the club, with how to get your wrists in the right position, you know, how to hinge them, this is a wonderful drill. Either take 3 golf clubs or 3 alignment rods, create a 90-degree angle, split the difference, you know, put this little station behind you, as we talked about. You can move this rod, and you can actually hit golf balls here with that visual, and that will really help you set the club properly, get your wrists in the right position, and set your swing on the path of the least amount of manipulation. Oh, Jimmy. We have a lot of questions on YouTube lately saying, hey, can you guys really help me? And we've talked about this, but let's make it clear. The release, getting the club to square up. Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's important we all understand this. Our arms going back are not going to move for a right-handed golfer counterclockwise. That's kind of what was happening in a way with our right arm.
100%. Oh, I felt it, yeah.
The best swings will move a little more clockwise. Mm-hmm. At the same pace your body's rotating, that arm is folding naturally in this direction, right? There is a little rotation to the arms. Not that I'm actively trying to have too much. Mm-hmm. If you get in the right position, the giving blood position, you shake hands and hold the tray, and it's already there. But here's the thing. If we leave it there and we turn, the face stays open. Mm-hmm. So we have some questions about people asking how to square the face. A better player, I don't have to talk about it too much, because Jimmy's going to figure out how to do it naturally, athletically. For the majority of you guys out here, that line that Jimmy was coming in on, go ahead and do the same thing, Jimmy. Show them what would happen if they just kept the arm in the same rotation without moving the face at all. See, that's what people feel, and I know people feel this. The better player is going to know that the back of their left hand exactly and the front of their right are that club face. So go back into the slot, Jimmy, and how about you, in your words, explain what you're feeling to get that left arm and club squared up?
So I'm feeling a little bit of flexion here, and as if I'm trying to put my palm to the ceiling.
Exactly.
You know, so.
And you said palm to the ceiling. Hogan would say knuckles down,
Yep,
and that's
absolutely.
what gets rid of the chicken wing and extends the arm for people and really gets the release to happen the right way. Here's the thing. I talk about this often. The release is a dangerous topic, and you know this.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
how many people have at our clinic, we've all seen it. We tell them to hammer the nail guys out here, and they hit it 100 times better because they're already going like this. So the release is a really, really dangerous thing to talk about for somebody who already gives up the angle and then is forced to drag it versus the pros who have a ton of angle, like Jimmy does in transition. He's got a ton of it, and he can get rid of it and still have the hands ahead of the club head. The way to do that correctly, right? You have the angle, you maintain it or even add to it, but when you rotate, the back of that left hand, the front of the right hand are smacking up against that wall right there. Yeah. And it is a feeling like the knuckles are turning down, like the right hand is more in this position here. I always felt like I had my hands at 45 degrees at impact like this. And when that happens, that's what allows a golfer to actually release the club and let it go, but you never actually kick it past your hands, right? So the whole point being is that awareness. Yeah. I don't think enough people practice this move. You know, you see Jimmy in there slow. We didn't even tell him to do this. Getting up against a wall, until you actually show yourself or what that feels like, you need to get in here and say, well, square is clearly not right here. Square is there. That feels to me like literally my hand is going to the ground like this, and the palm is to the sky, as Jimmy said. And I do feel my right wrist creased in this position like a 45-degree angle. So, get to halfway back, everybody. Feel the hip and the grip go together, but have the awareness of understanding that because your arms are going to move this way, they can't stay that way. We've seen a lot of old school drills where they had the bucket, and the bucket's empty right here, where they got the water in the bucket. You splash the water that way. Well, the water has to go out that way. A lot of people, what they do is they go this way, and then they drag the bucket, and the water just falls right out there. It's got to be moving in the direction of your body. So just doing what I'm doing here, feeling the lead hip go back, and feeling the club face match this, that'll educate your hands on exactly how to do what we're talking about. But you notice that's not something I needed to tell Jimmy. It's just something, I could have told him just open up. Because the more he goes laterally, the face will stay there. He's going to turn, that club's going to work with you. Okay?
Yeah.
That's important we throw that in there, Kev, because people have been asking that like crazy. How about that, huh? At Forzak Golf, we take a lot of pride in having developed some of the best and most consistent golf swings on the planet. We do this through simplicity. Our Full Swing Masterclass will take you on a step-by-step, easy-to-understand process on how to get your golf swing better than ever. Join the many before you who've utilized our Full Swing Masterclass to take their games to the next level and beyond.